Really long time since I've actually done an active live stream, and we're remedying that today with a very minor update on the progress I've been making on our VTuber model, ill-timed with the untimely passing of the warrior typing in Yu-Gi-Oh. But you learn skills and you learn things in life, and one of them is not always timing. But today, I just wanted to go a little bit into what I've been up to and what we've been doing. Um, the long and short of it is I've been working on making the stream and the eventual channel more interesting and more interactive. So that has involved, animating the background, which we have kind of a really basic looping GIF right now, which I'm not entirely happy about. So we're going to be moving to more something that's a little bit more live interactive, and then facilitates some of the stream, the GUI changes or something, to facilitate chat. Um, and to over the past year, I've learned a lot about myself. That being on camera causes a little bit of anxiety. I still greatly enjoy all the things that I do, but I was I don't think there's a it's not impolite, but there's no way of cutting the long story short outside of this last year I was finally diagnosed with PTSD and panic disorder, um, which explains a lot of things in my personal life in terms of feeling panicked, and combating depression. So, knowledge is power in that realm, and I'm very happy to be equipped in that way to understand my own self better, and how to navigate the world a little bit better. So I have been using the time of self reflection and healing to also do some skill accumulation to refine some abilities. So we've been working on our VTuber model that's eventually going to replace our wonderful, cool Marmitting Captain, um, for those interactive bits that we were just talking about. So what do we have so far? I don't have too much to show, but I do want to show that have been working on something. So uh my man, he can kind of look around. Eyes are not mapped properly at the moment, which is super hilarious. Same thing with the visor shadow, but we have some very basic head movement here, which looks really hilarious and crazy. I'm still working on mouth positioning and all of that. That's its own thing. We do have eyeball movement though, so I can glance. I can I'm not doing anything inappropriate or inapropos, but I'm a shifty character. Um, so we've got that. We have eye movement. He can roll his eyes at you really hard. Um, and so moving on next, mouth is not going to be hard, I think. But I am trying to think creatively about what I want to do. The shadowing. I think I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on some of the shadowing that I had here. Luckily, it's my understanding you can just kind of update files and then dump them back into Live 2D. So it's very easy to use and understand in that way. Um, and then we have other like emotes or expressions, I guess is the better way to explain it. I really can't do any of that right now, but I think ideally, in the ideal situation, like some surprise, or like this is supposed to be an upward looking movement, when the eyes are tracked and the shadows are tracked. But I do expect for the our little Mr. Warrior, the visor is probably going to act a little bit like an eyebrow here, and so surprise, holy shit. um, you know, and I am hoping to include in the expressions or animations also like a visor down battle mode, like shut up, I'm gaming. Don't talk to me now, kid. Um, so those things are in the work. I do kind of like the little guy that we've got so far. I like his Mr. Piccolo shoes. I already had a fair amount of knowledge in terms of layering and things like that. So that what was not the difficult aspect of this, but learning to rig. learning to rig has been a not a challenge, but a new. Well, it has been a challenge, but you know, just like any education, right? You take it one mathematical problem at a time, one complexity at a time, and so that's what we've been doing here is just learning all of the intricacies in terms of rigging and learning how to use deformers. I don't know if I have used the deformers here properly in terms of, conveying movement. Obviously the eyes are not configured correctly at the moment, where they're attached to the face, but I'm hoping that just a little bit, when the shadows, I've got the clipping and those are all deformed and mapped properly, that it'll convey a little bit of movement. I know that's harder to do. I could have gone straight through to a 3D model, but honestly, that was a little intimidating for me. Like getting into, I thought about using what is this, like block bit or something like that. There's some very rudimentary 3D rendering software that I could have gotten into and maybe made a little guy. And no promises that I won't. That could be the next progression in the journey. But it just felt like staying in 2D, in terms of live 2D, really building on probably the elementary art tool knowledge that most people have. I think is what was made that the more comfortable decision. So that's the update. Mr. Warrior is coming along. He might be a rush duel avatar. I don't know. I think that's the direction that Yu-Gi-Oh is going right now. In terms of he I don't know how much longer the warrior archetype is for Yu-Gi-Oh proper. It seems kind of they're getting power creeped out just into oblivion. All the support is gone. Rest in Peace is sold. They just had that ban list come out earlier this week, and I went through all of the emotions of loss and grieving. We don't have Rhoda, we don't have a soul, we got nothing. We've got nothing. And see, this is why the VTuber would be really good in the future context, because then he can kind of emote and do all of the expressing for me, and maybe even link it up to an interactive generative AI of my own design that does not necessarily steal from people or other creators. I don't know how possible that is. It might be. It's worth exploring. It's worth exploring. I'm definitely on the precipice of submitting myself, in terms of, I don't know, like I'm gonna I could at any moment like go to Jam or Shindig or something and like, please make me your VTuber disciple. I don't know if that's necessarily the best way of going about things. I'm trying to do some skill accumulation on my own, but there is the recognition that community is a big part of it. A lot of these VTubers and other creatives turn to their communities for recommendations, what they want to see, what they think would be entertaining, what helps deliver their content or messaging across the most effectively. So I'm always thinking in those terms, and I kind of like my little guy. This is not to say that he's probably our VTuber forever. I could definitely see making another avatar, or maybe working in this space, as maybe I don't want to say like an editor or anything, or a rigger, but I could definitely see myself recreating another model, or giving advice, or receiving advice on how to make a better model, something that's more entertaining to look at. So that's where we're at. I won't belabor this too much more, but just look at this guy. Look at him schmoove. He's got schmoovement. All right. Well, we're kind of up to the 10-minute mark, so enjoy this 10-minute video update, and I will see you guys in the future with more concrete updates on our VTuber progress, which I hope won't last too much longer in the future, but it is kind of fun just to give an update. And you know, I'm excited in the personal respect for creating more content and being more actively creative and actually doing things.